Welcome back, everybody. Every time we get together with her, we learn so much, especially about acupuncture. Now, yes, she harnesses the power and knowledge of Chinese medicine, and that comes in the way of herbals and so much more. But focusing on acupuncture, I've learned that it can smooth wrinkles in your face. Had no idea. It can support and help you with many different challenges. Today, I come to find out that the dreaded UTI, urinary tract infection, it can help with that. Had no idea. Many times when it gets to a point where you're extremely uncomfortable, you go to the doctor, you get an antibiotic, and on and on and on. Many people get UTIs quite frequently. What about acupuncture? Let's talk with her. She is Dr. Kelly, practice located in New York City, and it's great to have her back here. Welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, Steve. How are you doing?
Really, really well. And there's a reason why you are our professional VER. You have insight on these things that I had no idea. Yes, I know that acupuncture is good. It's been around for centuries. Had no idea with the UTI situation. So let's talk about that right now. Somebody has a UTI. They come to you. Can you relieve the symptoms? And what's actually going on there? Let's go there.
Yes, very good question. What's going on with the UTI? Right? People usually go to their Western medicine doctor, they got antibiotics. Yes, I agree. You should go to your doctor, get some antibiotics because there are certain bacteria overgrowing in the urine. That's why you feel the urgent to go to bathroom, you feel the pain. It's very uncomfortable. I bet a lot of people who experience it feel horrible. So I agree with you. Go to your doctor, get antibiotics. You will feel relief very quickly. But speak of Chinese medicine, how do we treat UTI and why people get UTI? So in Chinese medicine, we think some damp heat get into the UB channel or UB organ. In Chinese medicine, we always talk about the channel and the organ together. So when you have a damp heat into the UV, then you will have the frequent urination, the burning sensation. Some people even have the bloody urine. So it's very uncomfortable. In Chinese medicine, basically how we treat the UTI, we clear the damp heat. We can use acupuncture and we can use herb. It's both pretty effective and it's I treated the patient heavily and they do feel so much better. So but again, I encourage you go to see your doctor, but you may or after, or at the same time after you see your doctor, you can get second opinion with your Chinese medicine doctor so we can treat the root.
So let's say you get a UTI, you go to your traditional doctor, you get antibiotics, which you identified is important. From that point forward, would somebody see you to relieve some of the uncomfortable symptoms that you have? And then if you're prone to, some people are, get UTIs on a fair, especially some older folks on a more regular basis. Would you say that acupuncture can help prevent them?
Yes, yes. Actually, Steve, just as you mentioned, some even like kind of like older people, they get UTI very frequently. I mean, some people may think UTI kind of like related with sex, but actually it's not necessary. Some people they don't have sex, they still get UTI.
Sure.
So bacteria is one thing, but again, in Chinese medicine, we translate as damp heat. So in this way, it has nothing to do with sex. So basically, if you have damp heat in the UV, you will have, not you necessarily will have UTI, but you may have the UTI. Even you have the burning sensation, you have the frequent urination, not necessarily you have the overgrowing bacteria. So again, Chinese medicine treats the root. We think because of the damp heat get into the UV. So we clear the damp heat. In that way, you're not gonna have the burning sensation, the urgent frequency urination, and you not get the UTI so often. So that's how Chinese medicine treat UTI.
So when you use a acupuncture needle or needles to help somebody that has, let's say, reoccurring UTIs, what's actually going on? What are you? I know that, it hits certain points in the body. Um, how is it preventing it? How is it relieving the symptoms? What's going on at that point?
Yes, so there are some points on the lower belly. I would use one point. So it's above the pubic bone. That point is pretty helpful to clear the damp heat in the lower jaw, which means like kidney or UB. So use that point can clear the damp heat in UB or kidney to release the burning sensation, the frequent urination. There are also some points on the feet. So I would use it on the UB channel to also to help you release the pain, the painful burning sensation. I have been treated patients, both male and female. Um, there are older people, they are not like very young, not very old either. They both reported a very relief, like very quickly actually. One of this gentleman, he didn't really have UTI, but he did tell me he has the kind of like burning sensation at the end of the urination, and he used to have kidney stone. So in that way, this gentleman also has damp heat in his body, especially in the lower jaw, like kidney UB. So I basically use the points, of course, some other points, release his stress. So he said, now when he go to bathroom, he doesn't really have that burning sensation anymore. So he's very happy. So in this way, it's proved acupuncture can help both gentlemen and women, like whatever age. But again, I encourage you go to see a doctor. If you really have bacteria overgrowing, get some antibiotics. But we should treat the root because if your body just prone to UTI, which means you have damp heat. So yes, you can take a bacteria. You can take antibiotics to kill the overgrowing bacteria this time. But if we don't treat the root, you have damp heat, you may have the UTI again. So in that way, I think we should, we should treat the root. In that way, you don't, you know, have the
Sure.
pain so often.
And that sounds what's going on with most people. They'll get the antibiotic, clear the infection, and then it comes back, a month later, whatever it might be. And did I hear you clearly, Dr. Kelly, that the needles can go in the feet and then there's a connection?
Yes,
Wow.
yes. The point on the feet, but actually is on the UB channel. So although it's on the feet, but actually it treat the UTI sensation. So in that way, that's the magic about the Chinese medicine. Even a point on the feet actually can help you, about the UB or about the kidney. So that's the beauty about Chinese medicine. We don't have to go to your organ, to treat the problem. We can use the local point, we can use the distal points.
Yeah, and I'm just, I find that fascinating, especially we're talking about a UTI here. Some people may have the perception that where is that needle going to go? Just saying, it's not what you're thinking. Right? So when we're talking about these, mostly for the rest of us, unknown treatments of acupuncture, again, UTI would not even think of that. Would probably be the last thing that pops in my mind that acupuncture can support. We've talked before about it being a replacement for Botox in terms of smoothing your face and wrinkles and blood flow and all of that. How about some other things that come to mind for you that it can help you? Acupuncture can help support.
So similar to UTI, for example, people have tooth pain, right? Again, if you have tooth pain, I encourage you to go to see a dentist. But at the meantime, if you think about if your dentist is not available and you really have pain, um, you go to your Chinese medicine doctor. They can, check your tongue, check your pulse, ask some question. Then they maybe give you a diagnosis of stomach failure. So in that way, it's actually the stomach have too much heat, then give you the tooth pain. So we have some points actually on the stomach, on the belly, we can use to clear the stomach heat. In that way, you will like feel relief on the tooth pain. And of course, there are some points on the face, just like, around the corner of the mouth, we can use that's also stomach channel to release the tooth pain. But it's similar. It's you don't have to use the local points. There are some distal points, but it's also very effective. So again, that's the beauty of Chinese medicine. It looks like a distal point, but it can help you about, your problem.
This is where your experience comes in because only you would know somebody has tooth pain. Oh, that could be connected to the stomach. That could be connected to heat in the stomach, which we've talked about briefly, parts of the body that run hot and cold, if you will. Um, can you explain that again for us? What's actually going on there in term when we talk about heat?
Yes, actually, let's just go back to UTI a little bit. Why people have the damn hate into the UV, right? So there are several causes, several reasons why people have it. One can be from stress, anxiety. Like usually, like for example, people have a deadline to catch, or have too many things going on, or too much stress. So then you will have we call it a heart failure, and the heart failure can go to your small intestine. The small intestine and the UB, they are both a ion channel. So kind of like the failure goes from your heart, go to small intestine, then go to UB. Then you have the burning sensation. So that's one of the reasons why people have the UTI. Of course, you can talk about, oh, I didn't drink water for a long time. Yes, when you don't drink water, you cannot, kind of like the heat accumulates in your body plus the stress, anxiety. So if you drink water frequently, you go to bathroom, you pee the heat out. In that way, it gives you less chance to get the UTI. And another reason is people eat a lot of spicy food. So the spicy food can really give you heat. The heat can go to your stomach. That's one of the reasons people have like tooth pain, gum pain, because the fire just rise up. So then you have the tooth pain. And the fire can also go down, go to your UB. Then you have the burning sensation. So there are different kind of reasons people have the either UTI or stomach pain or like the gum pain, tooth pain. So when people eat like big steak, we talked about this a little bit before. You eat a big steak with a big ice cold water. So the ice cold water just makes your enzyme cannot digest the big steak because the enzyme's temperature got lowered down. It's not at its optimum temperature. So just the steak didn't get digested, then it will stay there in your stomach. You may have bloating, gassing, stomach pain, and after a while, the heat just accumulate and rise up. So you may even have the heart burn, you may throw up, or you may have tooth pain. You will feel very uncomfortable. So that
Wow.
happens to actually a lot of people. They came to me, they said, oh, they just throw up because they eat big dinner or something. I usually ask them, did you drink ice cold water with that big dinner? Most time said yes, because
Wow.
food didn't get digested. So it stay in the stomach, cause the food stagnation. Then food stagnation generates the heat. The heat give you, the tooth pain.
My gosh. Um, I have a steak maybe once a month. And what do I have it with? A nice ice cold beer. It's just kind of my thing. I just enjoy it. But I got to tell you, after I have that steak, I feel lethargic, like you said, just heavy. Um, and I just thought, well, you know what? Steak's harder to digest. I guess it is. Now I learned from you, even harder to digest because the cold beer, insert any liquid beverage, is going to impede your digestion because of the coldness. And I've heard this too, that it's kind of like the American staple, meat and potatoes. Having that mixture is not good in terms of enzymes and all of that. Have you ever heard that before? That that's the mix of those two, not good.
Well, so in Western medicine way, how do we explain it is the enzyme, right? Like the enzyme need optimal temperature to digest the food. So, but when you said about meat and potato, you just they both kind of like heavy, right? You eat a lot, then the enzyme just. So there another thing we can explain is when you have too much stuff need the enzyme to work on. It's kind of like a negative feedback. The enzyme kind of like, oh, you give me too much. I'm not gonna work anymore. If you give me a little bit, oh, I have the motivation. I'm gonna digest this. My work is done. But you give me too many, I feel overwhelmed. I'm not gonna do anything. It's a little bit like that.
No, I get you. Yeah, it's just like I can't handle this. Your stomach is saying it's too much for me. What did you just do? And now you drank this cold liquid. So now I can't do anything. We're going to leave that in your stomach a little bit longer, even though, again, steak, as I see in normal conditions, sits in your stomach for quite some time. Now add that extra time. So when we have spicy foods, many of us think it's the spiciness, it's just upset my stomach. Is it more that it's creating what you call heat? And that's where the challenge comes in?
Yes, that's one of the challenger because the spicy food, it's very hot, very spicy. It generates the heat. The heat burn the fluids. That's why people who kind of like have too much heat in their body, they kind of like thirsty more often. They need to frequently drink water, like one after the other. They still feel thirsty because too much heat just
Hmm.
burn the fluid out. Like you put a pot of water on the stove, you keep the fire on all the time. The water gonna be all gone. So that's why your body don't have enough fluids. So you're just thirsty, thirsty, thirsty. So in Chinese medicine, we can clear the heat. In that way, you don't feel thirsty all the time.
Interesting. Is how would you know if you're, and it's funny how people say this, I run hot, I run cold. How would they know, how would someone know what's going on within their body, whether it's hot or cold?
So one question we usually ask, right? Like you said, how do you feel general hot or cold? So most people say in the winter, my hand and feet are very cold.
Hmm.
So, I mean, in the summer, in the natural way, without the AC, we're supposed to be feel hot, right? That's summer about. It's warm, it's hot, right? Um, but in the winter, in a general way, some people, they can still their hands still warm, but some people their hand and feet is super cold in the winter. So that's one way we can
Hmm.
diagnose people like, are you feeling cold or are you feeling hot? But now, we all have AC in the summer. So in the summer, you can feel very cold also.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. It could be a warm day, and there's sometimes, well, why are my hands cold? What's going on with that? So does that really mean internally, you're running colder at that moment, potentially?
Yes. So basically, we kind of like usually we call it either a yang deficiency, or kidney yang deficiency. So in general, if a person balanced, yin and yang kind of like a balance, they check each other, right? They are balanced. Their hands shouldn't be like cold or too hot. Should be, generally warm.
Right.
But people like you know, usually like women compare with guys, women are more yin, guys are more yang. So guys usually their hand always kind of like warm. Women usually kind of like a little bit colder compared with the men. So in that way, we kind of like if a guy's hand are usually cold, we kind of like, oh, this guy maybe have like a young deficiency or kidney young deficiency or something. If a woman is like the hands are cold, we may also say, a little bit young deficiency. In general, women's hands are not as warm as men because we are more yin.
Now, for you, as somebody that practices Chinese medicine, somebody comes before you, doesn't matter what their challenges are. How do you determine if they're running hot or if they're running cold?
So first we ask a question, right? Are your hand and feet are cold?
Okay.
So in general, right? And do you have spontaneous sweat? If a person just sit there doing nothing but already sweat, that's that's a deficiency already because people shouldn't sweat without exercise, right? Without doing anything. And also you can look at their tongue. If their tongue is very pale, that's a deficiency, which usually means, well, it doesn't mean the whole body is cold, but it can mean spleen deficiency if the tongue is pale, not doesn't really have like much color. That's another sign of, young deficiency. So this person can run cold.
Gotcha. Wow. Learn a lot today in many different areas, especially the UTI. And gosh, they can be painful, troublesome, just uncomfortable. But it's nice to know that acupuncture is one of those things that can support. I know that you practice in New York City, obviously, for acupuncture. Somebody has to be in your office, but a lot of other things can be done virtually, in terms of consultation, herbals, and such. What's the best way to find you?
They can call me at 347-885-1865, or they can just send me email info@kelly121acupuncture.com.
Dr. Kelly, thank you again for being here. It's just a wealth of information, and I know this is opening people's eyes to acupuncture, and I get it. The aversions to needles, but again, I say it every time, the needle is so fine. You could take a bunch of those and fit them in a traditional needle that they draw blood in. That's how fine the needle is, and what a difference it can make in your life. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Steve.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.